Today, I want to take a couple of minutes and talk about how you begin a program of inclusive education, in particular in Catholic schools. Now, in the case that we cited, the Bayside scenario, it looks like a very good model to use. One of the most important things to remember in that is that you must start with a coherent, clear vision. Now, some of you commented about the fact that you were concerned that it really was a little bit too vague. And again, one of the problems that we all have with visions is trying to interpret the words that other people might have written. Now, one of the challenges is making it, as one of you said, making it specific enough, but also vague enough so that you have some wiggle room as you develop the program. And while that sounds like a good idea, the real issue is, how was that vision determined? Was it a vision that was simply created by an administrator who said, well, I went to a workshop or I went to a regional meeting and they talked about this and suddenly I decided that this was a great idea, so we need to start this right away? But the reality is, if you're going to have a vision for the school, it must be a shared vision. That's like if I decided that this is what I want to do in the school because I'm so smart and of course I know all these things. That might be great, and the idea and the vision might be really good. The problem that we run into is, will other people buy into that? And are they going to buy into it simply because you hold the key to their future? You hold their contracts. So the reality is developing a shared vision. That takes collaboration. One of the comments that several of you made was about the idea of saying per IDEA. Now, in one sense, again, it sounds like a great idea. Tell people where you came up with this. Say it's because it's federal law. I'm not a big fan of that. And it's a very simple reason. And the reason is this. If you tell people that the reason you're doing something is because it's being mandated from on high, it gives them the impression, real or not, that you're not 100% sold on the idea that the only reason you're doing this is because it's being mandated by someone in a higher authority. I think we have to be careful. I think, can you reference IDEA? Absolutely. But it's really important that you make sure that people understand that, yes, this is a law, but how can we make this work to the benefit of all of our students? Many of you also talked again about the financial issues. The financial issues are real. They cannot be ignored. And you have to put them on the table. That's why it's really important to gather data. What really are going to be the costs? So when you start thinking, I'm going to develop an inclusive program in my school, you have to start with the vision, yes, in your head, and then begin to talk about that so it becomes something that is a groundswell and not something that is being mandated from on high. You have to collect the data. You need to make sure that you realistically look at all of the barriers and the resources that you have. What is it that you need? Which brings us to a really critical point, and that is the concept of shared leadership. Too often I've seen over the years administrators who believe that they are kind of like the Wizard of Oz. They're going to be the all-knowing, and they're going to pull the levers behind the scenes and make everything work and everybody's happy and singing. The reality is it doesn't work that way. The reality is that we need to make sure that we share the leadership. And what that means is that we engage people. As one of you stated in one of the posts this week, you need to make sure that people know their responsibilities and their duties. And that's really a critical point. That's what shared leadership is all about. Giving people responsibility for particular areas. You don't have to be the great wizard. You have to be that person that is leading the collaboration. Leading the collaboration. That's the critical point. Because you will have, and again in this particular Bayside scenario, everybody seemed to be, really happy. There was no mention of faculty pushback. There was no mention of parental pushback. But the reality is there has to be. Because not everyone is going to simply agree to follow your directives because you're the Grand Wizard of Oz, and as a result, you're going to make this work. No. You have to make sure that you understand the concerns that people have. You have to understand that there will be some faculty members that will not be happy about it. And you need to take on their concerns directly. Talk to them, engage them. That's what leadership is all about. You as the principal of the school, the head of the school, you're there to set the direction. That's really a critical point. I hope these thoughts help. Again, great post this week as always. A little bit different format this week of trying to do a broader video. But again, I like the fact that you all are engaging with one another and looking at not just the surface, but looking below. Looking at what needs to be done to make an inclusive school one that everyone will be proud of and that everyone is a part of, not just on paper, but in reality. Again, as always, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, please don't hesitate to let me know. I appreciate it and have a great week. Thanks.